All right, guys, welcome back to another Whiskey Wednesday. It's a Tuesday, and it's also 9 a.m. for me. And why is it 9 a.m.? Because I have a very special guest all the way from Finland, Mr. Joey Palmroos. Yes, he's dancing over there. We've had a very crazy morning because apparently I live in the Stone Ages and I have no service in my building. So trying to do this digitally has been a little bit difficult, but we finally got it. I had to borrow my fiance's cell phone because she has better service than me apparently. And we are gonna do this. And if you guys don't know who Joey is, I mean, I'm sure you do. If you know who I am, then you know who Joey is. He is an incredible filmmaker, YouTuber, photographer, and also Canon ambassador from Finland.
Hey.
Yeah, that's a big one. I remember when he told me it, but
Hold on. Canon Nordics.
Oh, Canon Nordics. Sorry, I have to be very specific with it. But I just like to throw around the big name Canon because it just sounds so good. So,
thanks, man.
But yeah, so as we're gonna dive in, the first thing I know, Joe, you haven't seen the podcast yet, or it's not really a podcast. It's just me drinking and talking.
I saw the first one, and I'm not gonna lie, I did watch it all the way through. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's good, yeah. Well, then you know what comes next, and that's a little bit of drinking. So let's bring out the drink that we're gonna be drinking, or the drink of choice here.
Do you want to introduce the man of the hour, the product of the hour?
Oh yeah. So today we're drinking. It's never in focus, I've realized, so people can't see the label. We're drinking Aberlour. This is actually a whiskey that Joey introduced me to, and he said, you have to try this.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I bought it. And this stuff is good. This is 12 years. This is a single malt Scotch whiskey, so it's gonna be a little bit smokier, but I love it. And I thought what would be more fitting than drinking whiskey that my good friend Joey introduced me to.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
It's funny, like when you said, I liked it, so I bought the whole damn company.
One day. I'm planning on. I want to make my own whiskey like label. You already know this, but for all you guys, I really want to make my own whiskey brand, or like get my pick a whiskey, and then have it like bottled and labeled under my name, and that's like something on my dream and bucket list. It's a little bit more complicated because you have to have somebody with a liquor license to buy the barrel. But I've been researching it, and it might happen one of these days in my life. So.
By the way, like for me, the most like soothing part is when you rip off this condom thing on top,
Oh, that's funny because I'll tell you right now, one thing I don't like about Aberlour is taking off that thing. So your bottle
like
looks a
seal.
little bit different than mine, like the shape of it.
Yeah.
But that little tab, I've done this twice now, is that little metal tab that you're supposed to peel, right?
Yeah.
I literally have shoved my finger and it's like tinfoil. It goes through into my fingernail and it feels like I'm getting like tortured, like what they do like in prisoner of war camps where they shove like things up your fingernails.
Right.
And that's what it feels like. And I've done it twice and it's only with this bottle. That is my least favorite thing. So my first review is design on the bottle part of that. I hate that.
Dude, I love it. I don't know. It just feels like I'm back in the day, 1800s, they're sort of melting this. Yeah, it's not tinfoil. It's like super old school things that you used to like stamp letters with, with the family logo. Oh, there we go.
Whew. Oh yeah, yours is brand new, huh? I just actually ordered this last week. That's why.
Let me get the pouring on audio for you. Oh yeah. There we go.
That's a heavy pour there, Joe.
I know.
All right. So let's take a smell of it.
Wait, how are you supposed to do it? Just twirl it?
I don't know. It just looks cool. I thought that was what you're supposed to do. So I just twirling away. I get like a cherry smell from it.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
I can't get the cherry, but I still like it. Like it's my favorite whiskey. My dad.
This whiskey puts hair on your chest. That's the kind of whiskey this is.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. That's why my dad like got me into whiskey in the first place. So.
Yeah. Is that how you got into whiskey?
Yeah. I mean, still like so far managed to grow like one chest hair, but
That's impressive, man.
But
have you ever seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and the little kid and he's like, he's got his first chest hair. He's like, I'm so proud of him. He's like, wait a second, that's just Frosty.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking of. But all right, Joey, first tell me what you think about this whiskey. I know we both like it, so we're a little bit biased, but I want to know what you think, and then we're gonna dive in a little bit about you, and I want to get to know you better.
I mean, for me, like, okay, so the way I got to know this specific whiskey is through my dad, like I already mentioned. Like, it wasn't a joke. The chest hair was maybe a joke. I'm not sure. I gotta ask my dad. But anyways, so for me, this is like, you know, first of all, it tastes really, really good. I recently got into whiskey, like a year ago, maybe a little bit over than that. Like, and my dad, it was like me and my dad were just chilling at the cabin, and for me it's just a mood. Like every single time when I have a sip of this, like it just takes me back to that chill moment, just looking over at the archipelago, you know, midnight sun, and you know, taking a dip in the ocean and just chilling. And you know, every now and then when I'm busy and I get back home after a long day at the studio or a shoot somewhere, like, you know, it's nice to have a glass of that and just, you know, it takes me back to that chill mood, that moment. So for me, it's that.
Yeah. That's interesting. And also really beautiful. Now thinking about it, like when you're explaining that, I wonder if that's why I like whiskey as well, because the moment that like I started enjoying whiskey, because like, you know, you have it here and there when you're growing up and you're like, oh, this is like or whatever, until you have like the right whiskey, obviously. But I was in Ireland and I was filming. I was about to like, I'm in this new country and like I'm starting to make my dreams come true, where I was filming internationally for companies and stuff like that, and I'm about to go on this really cool motorcycle ride and film this whole like commercial for this company. And right before that, I got to go to this Irish distillery. It's actually Teeling's. I'm sure you've heard of Teeling's whiskey. And I remember just like sitting there and drinking it. And I think it was just like the memories that I get, you know, it's like, maybe it's just like success. Like, I mean, it's a little bit different than what you're going through, but like just like success, like there's a new chapter in my life kind of thing. Like anything's possible. And I think that's kind of what I get when I drink whiskey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like I'm making it kind of thing.
No, I get that. Like I have that with like red wine. I'm a whiskey guy, but I'm more of a red wine guy. But I understand what you're saying. Like I can see that 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the whiskey just a little bit before we dive into a little bit more about us. Comparatively to the last two whiskeys I've had, this whiskey is actually, maybe I don't know. It's really early in the morning for me too. So, but I don't really get like much of a burn on it. I know you told me that you're like, oh, this might be a little bit like intense when you first told me about it.
Yeah.
I don't get like, there's not like any point where I'm like, oh, this whiskey's coming off too hot. It's pretty smooth all the way across the board, I think.
Yeah.
And that's like pretty rare. That's like where you find a nice whiskey, is when like you're not getting too much heat. I mean, you can like heat and stuff like that. I'm not going to tell people what to like for their whiskeys.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's like sweet, pretty smooth all the way through, and then ends with like a smoky finish. And I mean, it's just delicious. I mean, I poured myself a glass and I'm already just drinking it like candy. It's really good.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like it's what my mom always says, like if something is really smooth and it just goes down the hatch like super easy because it's so good, she calls it like, it's like bird's milk. It's roughly translated from Finnish. I don't know how that translates.
Do you guys drink bird's milk?
No, we don't. Finland? But my mom, I don't know.
How do you milk a bird?
Dude, ask my mom, man. I don't.
I just want to make sure. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you milk birds. I don't want to judge what you guys do in your country. I'm just trying to figure this out. So
that's the national drink in Finland, bird's milk. Yeah.
It's what makes your guys' hair so blonde?
Yeah, that's actually one of the side effects. Yeah.
Oh, damn, man! I need to start getting on that. I had baby blonde. I had blonde hair when I was a baby.
No, I don't believe you, but okay.
I will show you pictures.
You showed me that
locks.
photo. You actually did. You showed me that photo, and that was like brunette. It wasn't blonde, man. Like, come on.
Okay, sorry. My hair doesn't look like I just saw a ghost. All right, give me a break here, man. We're trying our best here.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joey, I want to ask you. So actually, in one of my last Funny Enough, because I ask questions every week on Instagram. Just a reminder, guys, please ask questions in the comments here so I can ask them in the following week. Otherwise, then we have to ask them on Instagram, and people on Instagram don't even know what the heck we're doing here. So it gets kind of wild and confusing. But one of the questions I did get asked is, people ask me this actually quite a bit. They're like, you and Joey seem like you guys are pretty good friends. How did you guys meet? So Joey, how did we meet?
How did we meet, or have we ever met at all? That is the question.
Technically, no.
It's funny that we're bringing this up here on your podcast. I reached out to Austin, like I reached out to you like a year and a half ago or something like that. I believe it's
like right at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah. So
lockdowns or whatever.
So I was gonna I really wanted to start doing like podcasts on my channel, on YouTube, and then do audio versions like on Spotify, blah blah blah, this and that. And I come from the commercial background, like filmmaking, and I just randomly sort of found you on YouTube. And I thought, okay, cool. He seemed like a cool guy, we could get along, and could ask him a question or two, just have a nice chat. And funny enough, that episode never saw daylight.
It wasn't good. That's why I was terrible. Apparently.
Yeah, I was really, really bad. No. But yeah, true that. And then, I don't know, dude. Like I feel like that podcast was sort of like our first date, and then we just started like calling each other like on daily basis and just bouncing off ideas work wise and YouTube wise, and and yeah, so true there.
Well, I mean to be fair, like I think before we had the podcast, I think you called me because you're like, hey, can I call you? And I said yeah, because I just accept random calls from strangers all the time. That is not an invitation for people to call me. Please don't. I will not.
Number is down in the description.
Yeah, because I get random calls all the time now, and after a few weird ones, we don't do that anymore. Joey got in right at the last second, apparently.
Yeah.
But like right when we talked, for like I think like 2 hours just chatting and stuff like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Like I remember after I was like, oh, this is like a really cool guy, and he actually understands what I'm going through in filmmaking. Like I can talk to my fiance and I can talk her ear off, and she's in somewhat of a similar field, but she does not care about film. She doesn't want to hear me talk about film 24/7.
Yeah.
So I found somebody else in my emotional therapy to talk about film with, and we started talking so much about all that, and I just never stopped.
Dude, what's funny? Like, my girlfriend, well, now wife, told me the exact same thing. She was like, babe, I love all the film talk, and I want to support you. You know that I'm there to help you, like, with work and everything all the time. But can we please just not talk about film? It's like we're about to go to bed, and I'm running off like ideas off her, and yeah, so perfect timing with that one. Yeah.
Oh man, Kendall gets so frustrated when like I'll wake up in the morning and the right first thing I'll be like, oh, blah blah blah, and she's like, we're not talking about work first thing in the morning. Like my brain is like 24/7 thinking about film, work, because it's like the same thing for me, right? Everything that I do for film is work, or like right when we're going to bed, just like that. And she is not the biggest fan of that because she's like, I don't want to think about work right now. You're going to stress me out because I'm just like throwing out a bunch of ideas. I'm like, oh, what if I do this? She's like, Austin, stop. And so then you came into my life, and then she told me she was so excited. She's like, finally, I don't have to listen to you talk about this anymore. So I think me and you coming into each other's life has actually helped our relationships. So I think that's an important factor of why this works out so well. So.
Yeah, that's how we also, you know, I got married, you're about to get married yourself, and you know, it all worked out fine with the missus, you know.
And also, I mean, what's interesting too, and I talk about this with Kendall all the time, is that we're growing. It was very weird. We like met each other at like the same level of, I guess you could say, like notoriety or being known, and like kind of are growing at like the same trajectory. So it's we can relate to each other.
Yeah.
A lot, like when we're going through like new things and stuff like that. Like I'm like, hey, have you? We always joke around because I'll get an email from like a company about wanting to sponsor me, and then I'll message Joe. I'm like, hey, did you get an email from this? And then we'll like read through, and it's just the same email word for word, and just our name has changed, and it's just funny. So like we like kind of run ideas off each other to make sure things are okay. We like talk about the problems and pitfalls of like, you know, running our YouTubes, and it's been very helpful, honestly. Like, I mean, I know that my YouTube has not only grown because of, you know, us working together, but also like my skills and level have grown because I run things through you all the time. It's always like Wednesday morning, like in 30 minutes before my tutorial is gonna launch, and I'm messaging him like, what about this name for the title, kind of thing, or you're showing me thumbnails of things to choose and stuff like that.
Would be funny to sort of like, you know, share like our, you know, conversation on WhatsApp, and, you know, just pitching the title ideas. Like there's so many of them. Like it would be funny to sort of like do like a painting or something, like something of that, you know. There's so many different, yeah.
It is interesting. It's like I love YouTube, and I love like the whole idea of it and like how beautiful it is for like tutorials and stuff. But at the same time, like I just hate it at the same time because, like, you know, for us to have our businesses keep going, we have to get views. And so like you have to almost play this game of like throwing out these like, you know, cinematic or like high end or like commercial quality. Like it's like all these things, and like we as YouTubers know it's like BS, but like that's what people look for when like things, and it's like almost like that. Sometimes I'm like, okay, like you're using the same words like again and again, and like I hate it, but at the same time, like if I put like some like random thing that like actually is what the thing is about, it doesn't like really translate. Nobody's ever looking at that kind of thing, and so like you have to like play all these games, and it's like almost like this never-ending cycle of like, you know, like you get a following, and then you have to like keep that following, so you have to get views, and it's like you're chasing like this weird like circular thing of, you know, even though that, you know, it's kind of like not real kind of thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and definitely like lately I've felt that as well, like, you know, the pressure of, I mean, nobody really talks about the pressure of social media that much, but yeah, like, you know, behind all those videos, like for sure, like you know as well, like I do, like it's this never ending, like you post a video and then you're already like thinking about the next one, and then you're thinking about, okay, it needs to be out by then and then, and if it's not, like you just feel like shit, you know. You feel like, though you're the one like who set the, you know, set the date and time for that video to come out. Like nobody's really waiting for that video to come out. And sometimes, like for sure as well, like you do these videos, like, you know, you do these for yourself, but in the end of the day, you're also thinking about like, oh, like hopefully it'll do well. And that's why you're so concerned about like the title and the thumbnails, and, you know, like the first 15 seconds of the video as well, like you make that like super etchy and sort of like try to summarize like what's gonna happen in this one specific video. And then, you know, in the end of the day, like if it doesn't get the views that you wanted, I don't know.
It makes you feel like
That's
just, it makes you feel terrible. And then at the same time, you have to like take the step back, and you're like, okay, why does it even matter? Like a year ago, like I want to get any views, and it's like, it's almost like this like thing you're just consuming over and over again, because like you get views and then you expect, like somehow in your head you expect like you're always going to be hitting that, and then you feel terrible for not. But even like a year before that, like if you hit even like 10 views, you're like, 10 people watch this. Like, I mean, probably it was my family, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like this never ending thing that you're like chasing. And it kind of, I tell people this all the time, because people tell me like, oh my gosh, like you have a following. Like, I wish like I could have that. And I'm like, I know it's a lot easier to say when you're in this position than when you're not. And people like, you know, like they're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just saying that because you're there. But like going through it, like a following has its benefits, but at the same time, it's like this, like I said, it's just this never ending cycle of like, you feel great the first time like something like explodes on YouTube or like you get views and stuff like that. But then after that, like you're trying to like chase that same high that like never, you know, you can never feel that feeling again. And you're like, oh, well, maybe more likes, more views will give me that feeling again.
Yeah, it's super addictive.
Yeah. The best part is really the struggle leading up to it. And then when that thing changes, like everything is new, it's amazing. Like you feel great. You're like, wow, all this stuff is still coming. I'm not saying it's not enjoyable still. Like there's things that like I enjoy, but like they're different things. Like I've had to really recalculate my life with the whole YouTube thing because I was getting so obsessive on views and stuff like that.
I mean,
now,
dude,
like, I'm like,
quickly,
look,
if I can pause you there and just like point out, like it's funny also, like, you know, sure, like you play the whole YouTube game. Like after you sort of pick your own niche, however you want to say it, Austin. After that, you know, you keep filming and producing these videos and pumping them out on weekly basis, and you know, you sort of like lose almost like you lose track. Who are you making these videos for? Are you making these videos for yourself, or are you making these videos actually for people who are keen to learn, or are you making these videos just for the sake of, you know, getting those views and getting those subscribers? And like it's funny, like, and then every now and then you get this like awesome idea of a video, of a topic of a video that like you really want to create, right? And like for me, that was like the short film, or, you know, my latest, you know, doing that wet blade photography video. And you're like so stoked about that idea, and it's actually something that you're also like out there to study and learn and, you know, get sort of like, you know, enhance your craft, right? And just sort of see like where it all started, like with photography, right? And so you're done with the video, ready to hit upload, post, go live with it, and then like it doesn't get the views, and
it feels so demoralizing.
Yeah,
like,
because, you know,
like,
it's a project that you were, you know, you really wanted to do.
About.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It came from your heart, right? So like, you know, when that happens, like that's when you feel like, oh shit, like I'm a bad filmmaker almost. Like I know it's not the case or anything, but like it really does make you feel like, you know, not getting the views for that video, like that specific video, that dream project video. It does make you feel like you're nobody almost. Yeah.
It's and it's like that's a funny thing like that, and I think that almost like leads you back. You're like, fine, I'll just do what people like instead of what you like, because like it's almost like not on purpose, but YouTube like pushes you into be more in that YouTube, like into that YouTube. Sorry, my alarm went off. That means that I need to press record again real fast before 30 minutes goes up.
Should I do that as well?
Fast. But yeah, that's the funny thing too, is, you know, like with having more views too, like I've always noticed, like you get more hate as well. Like more people come in that want to like hate on your stuff too, and I always find that like interesting and stuff. Like people come in and tell you like, oh, like your shit sucks. I'm like, hey, oh sorry, I should bleep that out. Bleep it. I'm like, trust me, like I know my videos suck. You think I'm not the hardest person like on myself. People always think that you're like, you know, like you think that just because you're posting stuff on YouTube that you think all your work is amazing. Any content creator I've ever talked to, like, or pure artist, never likes their own work. I mean, it's very rare. Like, you know, like there's moments in your life you're like, oh, like I got it, you know, and then you like watch it and you edit it over and over again, and then at the end you're like, I don't like this anymore. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one. But like, I've talked to other content creators. I know me and you've talked about it before, but like, I mean, I'll let you speak for yourself. But I just, I find it interesting. Like people can think that you're amazing at what you do, and then other people will hate on it. But at the same time, like, I mean, usually I kind of like lean towards with the people that hate on my work more than the people that like my work, because that's how, like, I personally, I'm always trying to improve. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think it's like, as an artist, like, you're just chasing this thing that you don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you're chasing perfection, right? I don't know.
Dude, like, for me, like, I went to film school, like, the traditional route, and then got the first, job as a AD working in London with commercials. And then sort of like started my freelance hustle, that's still going. But I do feel like, starting the channel on YouTube and, putting my own work out there on Instagram and YouTube, like I do feel like it's been the best film school for me as well. And because of the critic that you get, and you're so, naked and vulnerable, posting your own work, and then, getting an instant, criticism from people, or, if they liked it or not. And if something was like shit, or something wasn't well lit, or if your camera sucks, or if, whatever sucks, like, yeah. And then, first when that happened, like, I mean, it really got under my skin. It was definitely a learning curve, getting used to the whole, okay, you're getting feedback from people, from a lot of people. And, I feel like that's also, but it's great because it makes you grow. It makes you want to become better, with your craft. Yeah. You don't want to get stuck to that level, like, and then you spend time like really trying to get better, whether that's through your work or your own projects. Like, you're constantly just working and trying to get better, always. And yeah.
Okay, I got a question for you. Okay. And because I already know mine off the top of my head, and I know I've told you this. Yeah. What is the most? I've actually had two pretty ridiculous ones, but like, what is the most ridiculous like criticism or comment that somebody's ever like said to you?
Like, work-wise, or how it looked?
No, I don't know. It doesn't have to even be about your work, because I've had people like tell me terrible things, like message me or comment to me, and I'm like, it has nothing to even do with my work itself. Yeah. Like, I'm like, they have like a personal vendetta. So I'm curious on like what you've had.
I don't know. Maybe for me, I mean, I can't just right at the top of my head, like, I don't have like a very specific message that comes to mind, but like, I bet the worst, or the, like, odd ones were about like me copying someone else's work. And it's funny because, in YouTube, if you do YouTube, obviously, like, bigger your channel, and then there are bigger guys. And if you do something like right, that you feel is right, and then all of a sudden, like, no, you're copying someone else because apparently it's been done before, so therefore you're copying someone else. I've also found that sort of ridiculous and funny, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'll tell you one, and I'm sure I've told you this one before. Okay. But not because like I know that I'm probably gonna say it, and like me knowing it, people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're holding on to it." No, like, it's so ridiculous that like I think it's funny, and that's why I remember it. But, yeah. Like, it had nothing to do with my work. I remember somebody commenting on my video once, and they're like, "Austin Paul, F that guy. He's a piece of like blank, right?" Yeah. He's like, he spends more time with his slider or something like that than with his girlfriend. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I've never met you.
Wait, so
like, I felt
you
like
never told me that. You never told me this
person. Like, I met him once in my life, and I just walked up and punched him in the
face that's
or something. And I was so confused. I was like, this guy, like, and then it just made me like, because I'm pretty introspective, and so like I'll think about things. Like, I will like think about them, and I'm like, where in this person's life did they think like, oh, like, I'm just gonna hate on somebody. Like, you had like a personal hate for me, and I'm like, I don't even know you. Yeah. I'm like, so,
it is.
And this is actually like before I had like like really any of a following. It was kind of like it was starting to grow. Like when we met, was when that happened, and I was like, what the heck? That was kind of like my first taste into lovely comments from people. So I thought it was like funny. I'm like, do you like my girlfriend? Is that why you're mad at me? I'm like, I'm so confused.
Dude, I always try to, like, obviously I do get, like, negative comments as well, but I try not to, I mean, obviously if it's like, criticism and actual like constructive criticism, I read it if it's feedback.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. But like all that other bullshit, like I always try not to look that way and just sort of jump over that whatever message or comment and just get to the next.
It's still hard though. Like no matter what, it's still hard. I mean, like you can pretend like, I mean, maybe it's different for you, but like you can pretend like negative comments don't affect you, but they do. I mean, when it's constructive criticism, I take that to heart, like completely. Anytime it's very rare though. For sure. I'd say like out of the negative comments, it's like 2% out of the 98% that are actually constructive.
Yeah.
At least when it is negative. And I'm not saying people send negative comments like all the time. It's actually very rare. I've actually been very lucky. Like I've talked to other creators like Daniel and like how much like people like send him negative comments, and I feel like very bad. I'm like, he's such a nice guy. Like, I mean, I've talked to him. I know you've talked to him. Yeah. He's a very nice guy. Yeah. And he gets like so many, but like that's what happens as you're following grows.
I can only imagine like where that is when you're at that level. Like, I bet it's like a totally.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, it's like being, whatever pop star, like, huge name actor, like it's the same thing, you get shit from everywhere, and there are a lot of haters out there, and there's nothing that you can do with that. You just gotta sort of keep your eye on the prize, and
I mean I mean like anything, what's worked best for me. I mean, even before a following, I know I keep saying that, there was it's like BC in AD. Before YouTube, like you'd even have haters then. Like, I mean, whether
BJ before Joey,
before Joey, I mean, I had haters even before then. Like, and not haters like that they like were hating on me, but they're concerned for me. Like, whether it's like personal people in your life, and this is something that you guys can probably relate to a little bit more. Yeah. Is that when I first told my parents, not like my parents are super judgmental, but I'm like, I'm gonna do like filmmaking and all that, and that was like maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, right when I came out of college, and I wasn't getting any jobs for a year. I'm sure like a lot of you guys have heard my story where I didn't make any money for like a whole year of filmmaking, and my first like paycheck was like $200, and I think it was actually $150. That seems more right. And I was over the moon about it. But the thing is like you're not your haters, because I don't want to say that. My parents are really lovely people and they don't hate them. They're concerned.
Your mom hates you.
Like, you're not getting, you don't have a job, right? Like, you don't have a career and you're not making any money and you're kind of just here at home. But like, so like, I mean, your haters, quote unquote, can start at any point of your career, and you kind of have to just tune that out, put your head down. And if you love filmmaking, or you love anything in life, it doesn't even have to be filmmaking, go after that. Like, make that your passion, because life is way too short. And I know so many people say that, but people die every day getting into a car, just from medical reasons. But the thing is like, so why waste it doing something that you don't like? It's scary, but I can tell you right now that like I'm 100% more profitable because I took that risk where I made no money, and now I make way more money than most people would do with their regular career, right? And I'm also doing something that I love, and I'm also my own boss, and I'm also, I said like,
you ran out of the list. And I'm also
I'm a little buzzed. I'm not gonna lie.
Keep preaching, brother.
Really
keep preaching, brother. Come on. Say amen.
You're
amen.
Like, yeah, man. You're like, yeah, you're hyping me up, and I'm a little buzzed, and I was like, I got one more and also.
And the funny thing is, it's 10 a.m. for you.
I've only had a banana for breakfast, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. No.
Whiskey's in my veins, sir.
No, 100%. Dude, I remember, like, the first few years of my career, like, after graduating from film school and landing on that first 80 job, and then deciding that, no, I want to be my own boss, and I want to be the person, like, directing and shooting all these films. And yeah, like first 2 years were pretty rough. I'm pretty lucky. I had like my mom was like super, supportive towards everything that I was doing and helpful. And yeah, like first 2 years, dude, like not making any money, but it's not just them. Like I can imagine like how hard that can be for a parent, to see their own kid, like, because you want to make sure that your kid, succeeds in life.
You like, especially if your parents came from not that background.
Yeah.
Even though my dad did, he made his own business, but like, like you're so concerned because you want your kids to have the best life, and you see them like struggling, not making any money, and you're like, I just want to help you. Like, I want to help you. Don't do you know, because it's hard.
Yeah, play it safe and do this. Like, I want to know you're going to be okay, and, study to be a doctor or study to be this and that or a lawyer. I mean, I understand. I can see that, like, 100%. But at the same time, like, it's pretty hard for, the people you have around you. I can bet. But also, like, what I was going through, like, with my own thoughts, thinking like, am I ever gonna be able to provide for myself and create a future for myself in this industry? And that's something that you're struggling with. And then at the same time, you're almost like penniless, like you got no money, and then you're doing gigs for free. Just so that you can build a resume, and then something that you can sell your work and go like, hey, listen, look, I made this. Like, do you want to hire me?
And everybody like claps in your family, like, oh,
yeah.
Good job. Like,
yeah,
like I mean, you're like an injured bird or something. Like, oh, like you're kind of flapping your wing. You're like, good job.
Yeah.
And everybody looks at you and I'm like, sorry, I'm broke again, guys. But here's my art. Do you want?
But you know what's funny? I do remember, like, I shot I can't name the brand yet. I cannot name the brand yet, but
I'm interested. We can bleep it out. I mean, I probably won't because I'm terrible.
Yeah, you're not gonna bleep it out, so I'm not gonna end at the brand's name here. But when I was like back in film school, right, like 10 years ago, a little bit more than that actually. Like one of my tutors told me that, Joey, you really need to create a documentary. You really need to create a documentary. And I said, like, I don't want to create a documentary. Like, I'm into commercials. That is something that I really, really want to do. So we came to, conclusion of me just creating a doc style, lifestyle commercial. And I made it about this brand that I'm going to tell you now a little bit more about. So 10 years went by. I made the film, like back in the day, I made the film, and then 10 years went by and we're here now. And that specific brand reached out to me, and they said, like, listen, would love to work with you, and would love that, like, if you could create these commercials for us.
You haven't told me about this.
No? I haven't?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, it's nice that I saved
Maybe you have. Oh, no, you have.
Yeah.
Wait, no, sorry.
So,
I know who you're talking about.
but the funny thing is, me trying to build that resume, and then, during some point, like, let's say like 5 years after, like, film school, I was like struggling and trying to make ends meet and just earn, few euros or dollars here and there. It's, I was thinking, like, why doesn't this specific brand, like, that's my, like, golden goose, like, that I really want to land a gig with, why don't they hire me? Why are they hiring these other people? And now when they called me, they reached out to me, and finally when I signed the papers and everything, then I realized, like, it really, really hit me. I was like, wow. Like, I know I'm ready for this. I know I'm ready to do this gig, but at the same time, am I though? You're still questioning yourself. But like back then, let's say if I did do that gig, let's say I did land on that specific client back then, and I did do the gig, and I wasn't in that mindset of like, okay, I need to be better and become better. And I did land on that gig like 5 years ago, and then executed that shoot, like, and it went horribly wrong. Like everything just went wrong. I bet like they would not have liked what what I produced for them.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think about that all the time, like with things you land and.
But it's funny that you don't think that, like, when you're younger and you're thinking like, no, like.
Well, that's because you think you're invincible. You're
I
like,
deserve this now.
Like
I need it now. Like I want it now. But thank God I didn't get that back then.
Oh my gosh, dude! Some of the jobs that I got that I should have never got, because I just was in the right place. They knew me because I was doing very good marketing.
Yeah.
Is that what we call it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But
Marketing,
the thing is like, I know it sounds terrible when I say that, but like the thing is like so many of those jobs where I wasn't ready for. I mean, they did teach me a lot, right? But at the same time, like, oh my gosh, some of them I'm so happy I never got because I don't like, I don't know everything. I know you don't know everything. We're learning all the time. I mean, I think people think we like put these tutorials out and like we're like, oh, we know everything.
Yeah.
No, we're just teaching you what we know, but there's always more to learn. There's so much in filmmaking. That's kind of like the beauty of it. Like you can go down so many different routes. You can be a specialist in anything. But man, if I took some of those jobs like back in the day, or like I got those jobs, I was just faking it. I felt like the biggest imposter ever.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like I'm just holding my camera. And I was just praying every single second. Like I had the stress in myself when I was like doing these different companies that I did work for that I felt way like unqualified for. And I was just hoping, I'm trying my best. I hope this video works out. I hope this video works out. I hope this video works out. I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And they come to me and they don't know. They don't know because they're not filmmakers and they don't, like, I'm more experienced than them, but like just by a little bit. And they'd come to me and they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, no worries. Like we got that like all figured out, like blah, blah, blah. Like, we got the lights over there. It's going to be good. I'm shooting it this way because like, blah, blah. I'm like just making up stuff. I'm like, they don't know what I'm saying and I don't know what I'm saying. And I'm like, as long as this video turns out well. And I mean, and that's, I think at the same time, like you're very thankful for the jobs you didn't get, but like, I'm sure there was jobs where you didn't feel like you were qualified for and
100%.
You took that leap because you're not going to say no.
I mean, you kind of do.
Right?
You kind of have to at the same time because I mean, I'm happy that those weren't the gigs that were, my golden gooses. I'm not sure why I keep calling it golden goose, but
it's a good book.
Yeah,
I think it's a book.
But like,
right?
I'm happy that those gigs weren't the golden gooses, and I got to learn a lot from those gigs. I'm not saying like at the time when making those films, I liked them, the clients liked them and everything. But now looking back to my older work, like, I mean, you've done that. Like it's
I
like,
I don't look back. I've never looked back at my work. I'm sorry. Besides building a reel, I can't do it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's so hard to look at your own like old work. It's so like, what was I thinking?
Painful. Yeah, it's painful. And it's funny too. Like I don't know.
And that's a good idea for a YouTube video. If you
to watch yourself, like torture yourself by looking back at your work, like what the hell am I doing? Yeah. Oof. Well, I mean, I was gonna ask you a little bit about like your upbringing and like how you got to where you are with your filmmaking,
right?
But because we've been on the podcast for a while, I kind of want to ask you some like a little bit more like general pop questions, and then we'll dive into questions with
pop
people
culture
that have been asking us questions. So I want to talk to you about this, and I'm actually very excited about it, and I want to know your opinion because I know, as myself, you're an avid TV show watcher, and I've heard rumors. I've heard that Game of Thrones is talking about, I know that they're going to be doing their prequel, but they're talking about because it was such a big cluster F.
Yeah.
I know I'm sounding like I'm like edgy, right? But we lose sponsors. We don't have sponsors. We lose advertising if I cuss. But it was the last season was terrible. I mean, at least in my opinion, and I'd love to hear your opinion, Joey. But they're talking about reshooting the last season. What
the
your
last
thoughts?
Season of GOT?
Yeah.
What
are your thoughts? They're talking about it.
Why?
It might happen because they messed up so badly.
I liked the last season. I don't know why, but I liked it. The thing is, like,
If this whiskey wasn't so expensive, I would have spit that out right now for what you just said.
Okay, listen. First
I'm not
of
gonna
all,
drink any more whiskey while you're talking about
amazing TV show. Absolutely loved it. I've seen it like a few times, like from beginning to the end. Like I remember every episode. Like it is good. The last season, sure. Like I mean, because I'm always so invested like with characters. Like, and I always like pick these, obviously like everyone else does, you know, who are you in the show, sorta. And
who are you in the show, Joey? Are you Arya?
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm the
Sansa.
No.
Are you
I'm
Jaime?
gonna leave that open and people can guess who I think I am in the show.
I think you know who you are is Joffrey. That's who.
What the Come on. Okay.
I'm joking. Nobody's
Anyways.
Joffrey. Nobody wants to be Joffrey.
But it's weird. Why the hell would they reshoot it? I mean, they already made it. Like, why not wait and then, okay, we're not ready to, film the last season.
Well, here's the thing is like, so
that's dumb.
There's only 2 writers. This is what I've heard, like from listening to podcasts and stuff.
But
like
dude,
that.
listen, okay,
Podcasts,
before you
right?
go on, it's the same thing. Okay, you create the work, you've done it, you've set it free out there into universe for people to see. You learn from it, and then you take what you just learned to the next show that you create. It's dumb that they go back and, start all over again with the last season. I don't get that.
I don't know if it'd have the same impact. I know you're right. I would be stoked that they would, but
Yeah.
I think it's been too long. First, second, they'd have to do it like if they're gonna do it, they'd have to do it right now. That's
Yeah.
the problem. Is like because everybody's getting older. Bran, I just watched the first episode because I'm gonna watch Game of Thrones again.
Yeah.
And I watched the first episode. I'm like, Bran is like literally like a little child running around climbing on things, and then boom, gets pushed off. First episode, right?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, like they're so young, and then they get so much older because like I'm sure there's big gaps in between the seasons. I don't really know. I'm not gonna say all the technical things.
Yeah.
But like you can't wait so much longer because they're all gonna be so much older. I think the thing that frustrated me the most with it is the whole development with like Khaleesi's, and I know that people are gonna be like, no, they were showing it all along. Okay, whatever, diehard Game of Thrones fans. But let me tell you something. The thing is like this lady, her whole like judging system and her whole ruling system was based on like being pure and like understanding people.
Yeah.
And then like the last season was like kind of the only time that you saw that snap and twist where like things were starting to go bad because things were going bad through the whole thing. Nobody's going through war and being like woohoo, right? But like what I'm trying to say is like it just wasn't enough. The mistake I think was because they're trying to rush it and get it out there was that they didn't develop her character twisting earlier on and doing more unethical things earlier on. And maybe you guys are gonna like roast me in the comments because
Dude, you're gonna get canceled because of this. But go on.
I hope I'm canceled. They'll solve a lot of problems in my life, right?
Oh, yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is like they just didn't show enough of it, and then all of a sudden like she comes from this like moral thing, and because her friend gets pushed off the top of the building, people get pushed off buildings in Game of Thrones all the time.
Yeah.
And I saved myself there. I don't know where I was going with that, but people die all the time in Game of Thrones, and like, oh no, your friend dies in war. And then like one of your dragons get hurt and now you're gonna burn a bunch of random people alive does not logically make any sense. I'm sorry. Ooh, bells are dinging. Oh no, now I'm a crazy person. I'm sorry. But that was a terrible thing. And the other thing, one more thing, Joey, I know you want to talk, but I'm on a rant and I'm gonna finish this. Oh crap, we gotta stop, 1 second. My alarm went off. I'm gonna jump right through this, Mr. Sir. All right, and the other thing is, why have literally, so I'm starting to rewatch Game of Thrones, and the White Walkers is like literally the first thing in the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I know it's called Game of Thrones, like they're all trying to get King's Landing or whatever.
Right.
But why have the White Walkers as the first thing and then have it as a resolution as the first or second episode in the final season? That should have been the last thing that you put in the season. I'm sorry. but like, okay, they're gonna fight this big ass battle and then literally put it at the beginning, and then the second battle doesn't even matter. I'm like, what happened? Okay, is this just you or is this just me? But did you think King's Landing like all of a sudden shrunk when they pushed that girl, her friend, off of the wall?
Yeah.
I'm like, why does this castle seem so much smaller than what it was? That's all I'm thinking.
Wait.
I'm like, where's the armies? Where's the big battle? There was no big battle. It was literally just them charging the gates, and they're already, I mean, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but they're like in the gates and they're like, oh, no big deal, and now we're just killing everybody. Like she blowtorched with her dragon like a little sector of an army, and that was BS. And I'm like, where's the battle? Like, oh my gosh, you know?
Dude,
what I'm saying?
I feel like this has gotten under your skin a whole lot more than what it has to Wayne. But it's funny to see that where your sort of preaching started, and then me seeing with the whiskey, it's just there's so many doors that you just opened, and I lost your I lost your train of thought. I love it, but yeah, go on.
No, that's all I have. I don't know if they should redo it, but at the same time, I'm not happy with the last season.
You know what's would be obviously it would be cool to see if they end up like doing, reshooting the last season. Sure, I'd watch it. But you know what's funny?
Well, obviously.
There are like a lot of great shows out there, like coming out each day, and when I'm home and just like kicking back, guess what show I've been binge watching? Well, actually, there's two. That's Entourage and How I Met Your Mother. Depending on the mood.
I love How I Met Your Mother, and I love Entourage. I've watched both of those.
Yeah.
Entourage is very old though, I feel like now.
Yeah. So
but, I mean, not a reason not to watch it, but I think it's a great show.
Yeah. No, it's like, it's funny, like I know that there are like great, movies and TV shows out there, but in the end of the day, like I've seen these episodes like gazillion times. It's funny that you just still sit back and sort of like, go through them as well. I was just thinking about this like last night. I was like, I'm really, really tired. Like, should I go to bed? I'm like, no, I'm just gonna, maybe kick back and just, play a few episodes of How I Met Your Mother or Entourage, and just like,
I love How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah,
I feel like people they try to compare it so much to Friends, because I get it, like every sitcom is almost based off of Friends, but
yeah,
at the same time,
but that's not really true. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like How I Met Your Mother is like literally like Friends was for when we were younger, right?
Yeah.
And then like How I Met Your Mother is like when we became adults and were able to understand a little bit more. Because I watched Friends
teenagers,
when I was little,
yeah.
and I watched Friends as I was older, but like that was like the more like nostalgic. And why I think people love Friends so much is because it's nostalgic.
Yeah.
I was rewatching Friends with Kendall, and like after Chandler and Monica get married, it's kind of not a very great show.
Yeah, it's kind of boring.
And How I Met Your Mother, like, is like a more adult version of Friends, and that carries you through all the way.
Yeah,
I'm a little disappointed at the end. Like, I mean,
but
this
dude,
might be controversial.
it's like that with every single like super long TV series. Like, it's hard to wrap everything in one episode.
Can you name one TV series that you were invested in that ended well?
I'm not sure if this ended well for me, but I was just recently thinking about Sopranos. And if I
that was like a huge controversial ending, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, because I'm still not sure if I liked it or not. Like you've seen the Sopranos.
I've never seen one episode of Sopranos.
Yeah.
I know it's like some Italian dude. He's kind of like heavier set as like the actor, but that's about all I know.
Wait, you haven't seen Sopranos?
I've never seen one episode.
Are you for real? That was like the first
Joey, how old are you?
Dude, dude, I watch everything. Like, that's the thing. Dude, Sopranos is like what created the whole HBO, like, before that it was old.
I've listened to podcasts that have talked about it, but
dude,
like,
before that it was old movies.
I don't watch old shows.
Dude,
it's like the same thing when people like, oh, like when I was going like in college, and like, oh, you need to watch like Citizen Kane to really understand filmmaking. And I like started watching, I'm like, this is boring. I'm sorry.
I know. I agree. But dude, Sopranos is not boring.
Okay. I know it's probably not boring. Okay, here's the thing though, Joey. Kendall cannot handle violence whatsoever. Me and Kendall are around each other 24/7. I can't even watch Game of Thrones.
Dude,
all right?
Dude, it's like that. It's like that with me and Dora. Like, she doesn't like watching these shows. You know what I do? I put her in bed, 10 p.m. I go, kisses, baby, have a good night. And then I go back to the living room, kick back.
Oh, that's nice.
And watch manly shows. That's what I do.
Kendall gets on this weird like high horse that we have to sleep at the same time.
What?
And sometimes like, okay, no, just listen. And it's literally one of the things. I know this sounds super strange, and I'm not whipped or anything like that, but like this is one of the actual things that I love about Kendall like the most is like sometimes she'll be like in this like delusional state because she's so tired, and I'll come home because I've been working all day, right? I mean, she's been working too. I'm not gonna say she doesn't work. She has amazing business. let me cover my
She's been
ass
home
right there
taking
for
care
a
of the
second.
kids all day,
But-
and I come home.
So like I'll come home, but like, you know, when you're working all day, like your mind is buzzing, right?
Yeah.
And like on like when you're on like when I'm on set of my own little table, and I'll come home and Kendall's like, I'm so tired. Like, she's like, let's go to sleep. She'll like get into like almost like she's like sleepwalking, and she's literally like, I'm like, babe, just go to bed. You're fine. Like, go to bed. It's okay. Like, I'll be watching TV, and she'll come back out and she's like, we need to go to bed now. Like we have to go to bed. And I'm like, she's
funny.
getting mad. I'm like, what are you doing?
I mean, it's cute,
like,
but
I'm like, no, you go to bed. I'm staying up. And she's like, she'll be so confused. Like she's half asleep, and she'll be like, no, we have to go to bed. Like,
you know what I tell
literally,
what I tell Dora, like she's been sleeping for like a few hours, and then I'm in the living room, and then she walks there and she's like super tired. I just tell her like, babe, it's super late, go to bed. Like I feel like I'm the grown up, and no, like you're supposed to be in bed by now. Come on.
Bro,
And
what the hell are you doing out right now?
yeah,
Oh
no,
my
but
gosh.
dude, like
But-
for us, like, dude, try it. Like, you know, if you can, just, you know, pretend that you're going to bed with her, and then just like fall asleep like super fast, and then pretend that you're sleeping, and then she falls asleep, and then you go back to the living room and you just kick back and watch your own show. You know, that's what I do.
You're trying to tell me how to cheat my relationship?
No, I'm not
Joey,
cheating. I don't
advice
do
from
that. I'm
Joey.
telling you, you're supposed to do that, because if you don't have your own manly chic time when you're like, you know, where you can watch, you know, all these different TV shows like, you know, Sopranos or this and that.
Yeah. But what
Hi,
I
Kendall.
will say, and I've actually admitted this to Kendall, so this isn't like random news or anything like that, or anything that's a revelation. But I told her sometimes, I'm like, because sometimes she has to go out on like photography trips or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I never, when I was growing
And
up,
you're
like, liked to be alone.
Surprise!
No, I actually kind of like it. I literally just pour a glass of whiskey and I just watch whatever the hell I want. And I'm like, oh, yeah. No judgments, no nothing. Just sitting there, feet kicked up. I'm like, am I gonna eat dinner tonight? Maybe. Who knows?
No, I
I know you like to cook, so it's a little bit different.
It's
but
fun
I'm like,
for
yeah, maybe.
it's fun for 2 days. I agree, but after that, like, I mean, because
Oh no, not at all. Like I miss her. Then I'm like, okay.
yeah,
like, you can
yeah.
come back now. This is very lonely.
Yeah.
Living the bachelor. It's kind of like you get like a little bit of a bachelor life, right?
Yeah.
For like,
for a sec, and then you
but
remember
you gotta
like, oh,
understand,
this
me and
sucks.
Kendall,
Yeah,
I mean, you know, but people don't know. Kendall's desk is right here.
yeah.
Wait, no. My desk is right here. Kendall's desk is right here.
No, I
And
know.
We spend about 24/7, which is probably very rare because I mean, I'm sure Dora, I'm not sure. I know Dora has her own like job that she goes to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you have like your place that you go to. And people are like, don't you have a studio? Well, I'm not in my studio as often as it shall seem, because I'm only filming like maybe like once a week, right? The rest of the time I'm just on the computer, right? So.
But to be fair,
we,
dude, I mean, she works from home quite a bit, like every now and then, especially now with like COVID and
Yeah.
before that, like, you know, with COVID, like she used to come to the studio as well all the time. And then, you know, us traveling together, dude, like we've spent 24/7, you know, together as well. But like when I do go home, we kick back and watch a show together that she likes, and I'm like, I know that's fine because she likes to go bed early, and
Does she like baking shows?
She does as well, yeah.
Oh my God. Kendall likes the British baking show, and I'm like, I don't get this. I don't get it. I don't want to watch people baking. Like, why is that fun? I don't get it. I don't know if it's, I'm not gonna like judgment if it's women, men.
Dude,
sorry, keep going.
think like how boring that would be to film. Like if you're the director of that baking show or whatever.
Dude, that guy is gonna contact you just like how I got contacted by a certain somebody because you said that.
I mean,
and
for
be
me,
like,
I mean,
what the hell?
I'm not judging. Maybe it's fun for them, but like I couldn't picture myself just filming people baking. But there is one good cake show on Netflix, and they do freaking amazing cakes, is what I've heard. I haven't seen it. It's Cake Something. Watch it. I haven't seen it, but apparently it's good. Maybe. I don't know. That's what I've heard.
With that, I think that is our last question. I think me and Joey have been on this podcast for, I don't even know how long, but long enough. Year and a half, yeah. So,
year and a half.
Cheers,
Year
Joseph.
and a half.
I love you. I wish the best for you and your family.
Cheers, man.
And also the best for your future. So thanks for joining me.
Thanks, man.